Morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500, and welcome back to Project Jacqui. As you know, we got that dodgy clutch. Today I am going to try an attempt to use that plumbing compression joint and fix it. And there's one other thing that needs to be done on the car, which I noticed the other day, and luckily I had a spare part up in my loft, so we're going to get that done as well, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, if that join thing is successful, the car will then be done. So let's get on with it, let's do it. Okay, so welcome back to another day, and as I said on the last video, this video will be the last one on this car. Regardless, it will be the last one on this car. So as we know, stereo is all super fine, super fandango, works lovely. The clutch, I got that thing through, you know the thing that I said that I'd ordered, the little repair thing that was a tenner. It finally came through yesterday. This is it. So, I mean, it's a little bit on the flimsy side, but then, you know, does it need to be anything more than that, really? But I would have used this, but due to what someone had said on the channel, that they had used it on, I think he said on his sister's car or his girlfriend's car or something, and it lasted 3 days. Due to that, I'm not gonna use it, but it's a waste of 10 quid. So, if the other thing doesn't work, I will try this. But failing that, I'm gonna whack that back on eBay and sell it. I know it's only a tenner, but a tenner's a tenner, isn't it? A couple of pints at the end of the day. So we can't waste it. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about, not about this car. Remember the blue car? Project Gino, the blue colour therapy, which I sold recently, which I made a nice little profit on as well. As you know, I told you about, I got a message from the lady who bought it. Excuse me, I don't know if you can hear that, my stomach's rumbling. I don't know if you remember the lady that I told you she contacted me via Messenger and said that she had the leak, and I went over and sorted that radiator thing out. A couple of weeks passed, maybe 3 weeks passed. I had another message from her with another video of coolant dripping, and she said, "It's leaking again. Is this where it was on the MOT advisory?" Now the MOT advisory was the one that I sorted out, which was the lower pipe that goes to the fuel rail, to the water rail, or the main water pipe, the metal one, whatever you like to call it. Sorted that one out. This leak was coming from the other end of that water rail, and from the video it looked like it was dripping from the connector where the hose goes on at the bottom. So that's sort of, you know, looking at the engine, right hand side, at the bottom, obviously, the bottom water pipe, which connects to the thin side of that water rail, as some people like to describe it. So I went over there and had a look the following morning. I thought, you know, if it is, I took a screwdriver with me and a torch and whatever, and I had a look. It's still got the original clip on it. That was never ever removed. So I thought it's probably not coming from there then, unless there's a hole in the pipe, which I don't think there was. Shining the torch up behind the what do you call it, the heat shield, the manifold heat shield, I could see it looked like the water was coming from there. And where I think it was coming from is where you've got, so that water rail is pushed in to the back of the water pump, where the water pump is, and then it's held onto the actual car only by one 10mm nut, and it has a bracket, an angled bracket, where it bolts onto the block at the front. And then it's got this angled metal bracket that is then welded onto the pipe itself. And I've had them in the past where that's where it goes, where that weld joint is. You get a little hole in it, and obviously then it starts to drip. Under pressure, it then starts to hiss and leak. And I'm pretty certain that's where it was from. And I said to her, "Look, I don't really want to be doing this on your driveway." She lives in a block of flats with their allocated parking at the front, block paving and that. I didn't really want to be doing it outside there. So I said, "Look, if the worst comes to worst, I'll come and get it. I'll drive it to my house and I'll do it there." I said, "But you know, normally these things are relatively easy to do, but normally when I've done them before, it's been when I've had the front of the car off, and then it's a piece of cake to do it. It's slightly more difficult, and I think you've got to do it from underneath when everything's on the front. I'm not going to take the front of the car off to do it. So I said, you know what? I said, look, see if you can get the mobile mechanic guy to do it. Cut a long story short, he was on holiday, so he wouldn't have been able to do it until the 5th of September. So that's far too long to wait. So I said to her, look, take it to a local garage. I said, get it done at a local garage, and I'll reimburse you. So she phoned around, managed to get a local garage that could do it today. This was like last week, the end of last week. She on Monday, she booked a garage for today. So I said, look, just get it done. Tell me how much it is, and I'll transfer the money to you. So I had a message from her this morning. She said, the garage have got it. She said, yes, they can do it. She said, they've also said that the thermostat is leaking as well, and they've quoted a price of £309.90, which I think is absolutely extortionate. I've got 2 of these water pipes here. I ordered 2 just on the off chance, and they are 25 quid each. Now, they may use OEM ones, possibly. I don't know. Also, thermostat. Are they going to put a new thermostat in, or are they just going to take it out and reseal it? Don't know. Be interesting to see whether they do put a new one in it or not. Certainly whether they charge you for a new one, which I think we can safely assume they will. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a fiddly job. You've got to take the battery tray out. You've got to take the ECU mounting bracket out and all that nonsense to get to it. It is a bit of a pain in the backside. But, you know, my estimate, they're 310 quid. My estimate was, let's round up coolant. Let's say 20 quid for coolant. Let's say about 70 pounds, I think I said, allow for parts, the fuel, the keep calling it fuel rail, the water rail and the thermostat. Let's say about 70 quid, something like that, unless they use more expensive parts. I sort of guesstimated that their hourly rate was about 70 quid an hour. I don't know if that, I'm not even sure what it is at a garage these days. It might be more than that. It's an independent garage. It's a PTA garage, local to her. And so I reckon they're sort of allowing 2.5 hours to do that job. Now, I could do that job, both of those, probably in an hour and a half at the most. So if I know obviously there's 20% VAT, which would have been about 80 quid, which is a bit frustrating, but you know, VAT, we have to pay it. So I've transferred her the money, £310. I've already transferred it to her bank account. They've ordered the part. They're going to be doing it tomorrow, or parts. They're going to be doing it tomorrow. So I've just said, you know what? Look, it's there. They're going to do it. It's then done. No messing around. Let's just pay for it. I'll just pay for it. So again, you know, it's not about a warranty. I don't particularly. Some cars I sold, I did use a third-party warranty. I don't tend to do that on the older cars, because the older car, up to 7 years or 70,000 miles, I think it was, it's full parts and labour. After that, it's there's a sliding scale depending on the age as to how much they contribute. And in the end, I said, you know what, I'm not going to bother doing that anymore, because it's just money out of the profit. And you know, some of the cars I sell, there's not much in the way of profit in them anyway. And of course, if I service them, that's no good, because it has to be serviced at a VAT garage for that warranty to be valid. So I don't tend to do that anymore. However, when things like this go wrong when I've just sold the car, I'm going to bend over backwards to put them right. And if it costs me money, it costs me money. If I end up losing money out on the car, I end up losing money. You know, this is not my living. It's nice to make some extra money, but, you know, I pretty much spend all of my spare time, apart from weekends normally. I don't really do it at the weekends, but, you know, as you know, I have lots of days off during the week, and I work lots of weekends. So when I'm off during the week, all my spare time is spent doing these cars. I need to get on and try and sort this clutch out. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I don't know why. It should be a quick and easy job. Should be. So I've got that compression fitting. Going to get me little battery cutter out, cut those brake pipes as close to the end as I can, to retain the little insert. I'm assuming there's a little metal insert in there, is how it was referred to, which gives it a little bit more rigidity when you stick the olive on for the compression. So I'm going to take the battery tray out first. So I'm not going to film. I am actually going to film that, but not for this video. I'm going to do a separate how-to video on my basic series about how to change a battery or how to take out a battery tray. Battery and battery tray. So I'm just going to quickly do that. Once I've got all that out, we can have a look, and I've got to try and release that thing. There's 4 like prongs, I think, and I just couldn't pull it down. So I'm hoping it might be easier to push it down from above. Not really sure whether you can or not, but I'll get it down one way or the other anyway. And then we will, hopefully, it'll be relatively plain sailing and it'll work. Put my foot, yeah, see the clutch pedal, just no resistance whatsoever. I'm probably pumping fluid out. No resistance whatsoever, just goes straight to the floor and then bounces straight back again. Let's do it, let's get on with it. See you in a minute. Okay, so we've got the battery and the battery tray out. We can't really get to that. I thought you might be able to get to it better, but it's actually under this bit of the chassis leg or the gearbox mount really, so you can't. So I am going to have to do it from underneath, so I'm somehow going to have to prise it out. Not quite sure how it prizes out. It's a bit annoying that it's under there. But there you can see the coil down there. So this is the bit I was talking about, I think I was talking about earlier, where so there's no leaks around here. As you can see, it's as dry as a bone. If you're going to change the actual cylinder itself, which is this, the slave cylinder, that's the bleed nipple. You undo that, which I'm going to have to do when I've done this joint. Undo that, your bleed nipple's under there, and then obviously you need to bleed the clutch. If you're going to change just this, but you're going to leave the pipe work, all you do is you take out that little clip there with your fingers or with a little screwdriver, and then that pipe will pull off of there, and then you can put your new cylinder on and then just reconnect the old pipe work. But obviously on this one, it's the pipe work that's the problem, not the cylinder, so it's the other way around. So we're going to get underneath the car and see if we can get that thing to pull down. Right, okay, so I've got the camera in there the best I can. First thing I've got to try and do is get this thing down. So maybe I've been a little bit too gentle with it before, but it's on this bracket. Maybe the bracket has to come out rather than it come out of the bracket. I don't know, but just couldn't seem to get it out. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want to pull down. Oh, here we go. Got it. Oh, the old bracket's come out. That's fine. That's fine. Here we go. So here we have. I need to get that out of that bracket somehow. I'm trying to work out how it goes in there. Oh, I see. I think it's got a. There we go. I see. Yeah, it's got little clips that hold it in place. That's good. So I'm going to have to somehow get that back in. Otherwise, it's going to be flapping around. So I think we can safely see that has gone. Not quite sure where it's gone, but I'm not sure whether you're seeing this or not. Oh, I'm trying not to get the torch in the way so you can actually see. Okay, so we got it off. I'm not sure it's a particularly clean cut, so I may have to cut a little bit more off. But you can see that end, if I show you there, you can see it's quite a small bore. So the pipe thickness is a lot thicker. And that metal you can see there is presumably is the bit that I was told that try and cut as close to the end as possible. So you retain some of that, which gives it a little bit of extra rigidity. That side is not quite so close, but inspecting this, if you can see these flared in, I'm not sure whether this is a split or whether it's meant to be like that, because of course the one I'm replacing is different to this, so I reckon that's probably a split. Whether this has been changed at some point and they've forced it in, and that's why it's caused that crack. So there's a crack there, I think there was 2 cracks, and there's another one there. So that's clearly where it's leaking from. And as you can see, if you turn that around, you can see that that's not equal. It's not in straight by the looks of it. So I don't think that's where I pulled it around, because it's quite tight. So I get a pair of pliers on. Yeah, it's not something I can actually get out. Yeah, it's not budging. So that's obviously been put in crooked, which I guess is probably what's caused that to split. So that's clearly where the leak's coming from. So we've just got to try and clean up these pipe areas. It's not easy when you're doing it under here. Not easy at all, because both pipes have flicked up out of the way. But we've got to get to them. I'm going to try and clean them up a little bit and maybe cut them again with this. And we'll come back. I can't film it under there, so I'm just going to do it and then come back. Right, I've tidied those ends up much better. If you can see that, nice and. I'm not sure if it's in focus, but that end and the other end's round here somewhere. Much nicer, much cleaner, and we've still got plenty of the metal insert, so that's good. Right, so next bit, we need to get this it's down here somewhere on the floor. Right, so I've taken the compression fitting apart, one side anyway. So we've got the olive. So the olive will obviously, the olive and the back of the nut will obviously, I know I'm teaching a lot of you to suck eggs, but obviously we need to make sure that olive will go on there. Let's try it. No, it doesn't. The olive is too, the olive is too small to go on there. So it might be a case of where I have to, it's because of the metal insert. That's the problem. So I don't think as it stands, that olive is going to go on there. So I may have to cut it back a little bit past that metal insert. I mean, it is quite a flexible pipe, and yeah, it does give it a bit more rigidity, but if I can't get the olive on that pipe, then it's not going to work. Simple as that. So let me have a fiddle and we'll come back. Right, as you can see, I've just done that up loosely by hand. So it's not tight by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, by cutting off an extra piece, I got to the end of the metal bit. And I mean, that pipe is quite rigid, so I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. It's just whether it's going to tighten up on that olive properly. I think it will. I mean, the olive slipped on nicely with that flared end. There was no way on earth that was going to go on there. It was just far too small. So I'm just going to undo the other end, and then we'll offer it up to that pipe. I've probably got to, yeah, I'm going to have to cut another bit off the end of that pipe again as well to get a square edge, not a square edge, you know, sorry, a flat edge that's not got any of the insert on, which is a pain, but it's got to be done. So let's do that. I can't film it. It's just impossible for me to film everything under here. I'm doing the best I can, but I'll do that and then come back again. Right, it's on. It is on. Now, hopefully, that side went on fine. The olive stayed tight. I did the nut up, and it stayed on. That one kept slipping off. So what I did is I put the olive on, got the pliers, and just sort of nipped it round a little bit to try and to make it grip, and it seems to have done the trick. Yeah, it seems to be gripping fine. So what we need to do now, I guess, is try and bleed the clutch and see what happens. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so now that's all on, I'm going to attempt to bleed it. So I don't even know what size it is. So what I've got this little contraption here that I bought from AliExpress actually, which supposedly is supposed to make it easier for you to bleed. So the idea is you stick one end in the bottle, the other end on the nipple, and then you undo the bleed screw, and then I think you possibly may have to pump the pedal a little bit. I might have to get my wife out here to gently pump the pedal and see what happens. I don't know whether you need to, can't remember whether you need to pump the pedal or just let it flow. I think you might have to pump it just a little bit. Let me just find the correct Allen key for it and we'll be back. Right, I think I've got the right one on there. So let's put this on, onto the bleed nipple. Like so. Put the bottle down there somewhere, and then what we'll do, undo that bleed nipple, see if any comes out without having to yeah, it is, I think. Yeah, I'm never quite sure, never done this before actually, how much you have to undo it. So a little bit's leaked out, but what you're meant to do, of course, is wait until there's no bubbles. At the moment, there's no actual fluid. I think it's leaking around that thing. Actually, I think we need to do that back up again. So that, yeah, that wasn't necessarily the best thing. So I'm going to try getting the pipe on there on its own, without that thing on it. I think it's a bit on the big side. So let's put that on there directly, that might be better. Let's try it like that. Well, I've lost my bottle, I what have I done with it, stupid idiot? I've got so many bottles around. Here it is. I found my bottle. Oh dear, isn't this a laugh, eh? Right, let's undo this again. Don't you just love it?
Right. I still don't see any coming out. So I don't actually know. Oh yeah, there is some coming out. Maybe the bottle needs to be a bit lower. Come on. I think you need to pump the pedal, don't you? Oh. Your bloody bottle's fallen on the floor. Oh God. Right, I put that back in there. I should put some tape around it to hold it in place, really. Stop it falling. Right, so it is working its way up the pipe. The reservoir is full. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my wife to come out and gently push the pedal. So bear with me. Okay, are you pushing it now? Yeah, go on. Are you pushing it to the floor? Stop, take your foot off. Hang on. Is there, well, you don't know what the pressure's like, do you? Let me just undo it again, hang on. Hang on, not yet, I'll tell you when. Go on. Leave it down where it is at the moment. Oh, doing it the wrong way. Right, take your foot off. Right, when I tell you, just do the same again, alright? Yeah. Okay. Right, leave your foot where it is. Leave your foot where it is. Look, can you jump out a second? I just want to feel it, because obviously you don't know what the clutch pedal's meant to feel like.
My foot where it is,
No, obviously, I said you can take your foot off now.
You said leave your foot where it is.
Can you just get out so I can test the pedal? I just need to feel what the pedal feels like. Yeah. It is indeed. Obviously, and he's bleeding more than. There must be air in it still. That's assuming the thing's not leaking, of course. Yeah. Yeah, the thing's not leaking, so that's a good sign. So it's just a matter of bleeding it. Okay, right. So, okay. Unfortunately, that bloody pipe is leaking fluid a little bit. Okay, go on. Keep going. Keep pumping it. Go on, keep going. Stop. Has it made any difference? It hasn't. Right, let me just top the fluid up again. Luckily I've got enough. I don't think it takes very much. It hasn't lost much, I don't think. But obviously bleeding it makes it lose some as well. Right, so there's no air coming out of there. So your foot's not on it, is it? Okay, let me just move that over a little bit. Okay, right, let me loosen it. Okay, put your foot down and leave it there. Okay, now give it a pump. Won't go down. Jump out, let me have a go. It might be because you're sitting a long way away. Jump out, let me have a go. Because it is moving, but I'm not sure it's moving enough.
I can't get it to the floor now.
Yeah, it's because you're sitting too far away for your little legs.
I've got quite long legs.
Oh, that's not bad, actually. Whether it be enough, I think we need to give it a little bit more.
Do you want me to get back in?
Yes, please. What I think is happening is it's when you take your foot off, it's sucking air back in because this isn't a fantastic seal. Right, I'll tell you when. Okay, to the floor and leave it there. Right. Take your foot off. Foot to the floor and leave it there. Yeah, there's no bubbles coming through now. So that should be it. Right, give it a pump. Yeah, that's working, I think. Yeah, it looks fine. Excellent. It's moving out all the way by the looks of it. And it's not leaking down here. That's done the job. Excellent, thank you. Send me an invoice, you can stop pumping it now. you want to say hello to the camera? Do you want to say hello to the camera? Sure? My glamorous assistant. Right. So that actually seems to have done the job. As I think what was happening was it was because the pipe is not there's a lot of fluid over the gearbox now. Because the fluid wasn't because the pipe wasn't a tight fit. I think what was happening was it was pumping out with the air, and then as soon as the foot came off the clutch, it was sucking air back in because I could hear it. But by doing it by putting your foot on the floor so it pumps through, leaving your foot there, tightening it up. I don't know if that's the way you're meant to do it. I've never done this before. I think it probably is, to be fair. I just need to try and mop up as much of this spilt fluid as I can. So yeah, there's no more air coming out, and as far as I can see, the pedal travel of the clutch pedal is full now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, I think I saw someone using silicone grease on the plunger. I haven't got any silicone grease. Let's have a look at that. This is CV joint grease. Lithium-based grease contains blah blah blah, specially formulated for use in CV constant velocity joints. Well, although this isn't a CV joint, this is a constant velocity joint, isn't it? Sort of. So I'm going to use it. Ooh, funny stuff. Just going to put a little bit around that to give it a bit of lube. Ooh, misses. But yeah, it all seems to be good actually. Yeah, I'm only putting a little bit around it, just to lube it up a little bit. So I'm going to go and fill that pedal myself now. But yeah, from seeing what was happening with the arm, I need to show you down there actually, don't I? I need to take that pipe off. Let me show you down there. Put the bleed nipple cover back on. And then we're done, I think. Then we need to get the wheels back on. So that's all the fluid that came out. So not a massive amount. But there was a lot of air that came out of it, a lot of air. I suppose it's been, we don't know how long it's been leaking for until it failed. Then I suppose, obviously, if it's leaking, when you put your foot on the clutch, it's pushing the fluid out, but when you take your foot off the clutch, it then sucks the air in like it was doing with me there. So just I'm going to top this up. I'm never quite sure how much you're supposed to put in here. And I'm going to put the float thing back in. Yeah, I think I might have put a little bit too much in, possibly. Yeah, I have, it's leaking, never mind. Never mind, just mop that up where I've spilt it. There you go, that's alright. Right, so I think we're done. I do believe we're done. So I think what I'm going to do, trouble is I've got to put it all back together again to know whether it's worked properly or not. And I'm pretty confident that it has. Pretty confident that it has. So there you can see where I've spilt fluid. I've got most of it up there. So I need to clip the pipe back in. And then I'm going to put the wheel back on, get it back down on the floor, put the battery back in, and I suppose then we can fire it up and test the clutch properly. But I'm pretty confident that's done the trick. So how good is that? £2.16 instead of 230 odd quid. I still haven't been charged for that yet, and I've had no email with dispatch information, so I'm hoping that I'll get it to them in time and cancel the order. Should be able to. That's great stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together again, and then we'll get the wheel on, do all that, come back, and hopefully that'll be it, and it'll be working again. End of the saga. Right, battery's all back in. It's good stuff. It's all working lovely. So I just got to straighten the wheel up, jack it up, put the wheel back on, and then we'll start it up and reverse it backwards and forwards a bit. I can't take it for a spin at the moment because my neighbour's blocking the driveway, so that doesn't matter. I'll do it later. Yeah, all should be good. All should be good, but I just want to drive it around for a bit first just to make sure, but yeah, it's a nice solid connection, and it was a great top tip from the person who showed me how to do it. So yeah, that's great. We'll be back once we've got the wheel on, and yeah, you can see me hopefully reversing it up and down the driveway with a fully operating clutch. Right, that's it, clutch is all done, wheels all back on. I've just taken it for a spin around the block. It's all good, it's all good, which I'm very, very pleased about, as you can imagine. One more thing left to do. I noticed when I was putting the tray back in, I noticed that this was a bit loose. And when I looked under there, I can see there's some tiger seal. So that bracket there was broken, and I've got it all over my bloody fingers now. And they put tiger seal on it to stick it. Luckily, I had a spare up in the loft, so I'm going to swap that over now. And then the car will be completely finished. Okay, so apart from a wash, a final wash, it's all done at last. I thought this was going to be like a day and a half turnaround, but I've actually ended up doing a fair bit of work on it. Only bits and pieces mainly, apart from that bloody clutch thing, of course. But yeah, a couple of bits of painting, and obviously the light and that had to be done. I cleaned the seats, cleaned it all inside. Yeah, but it's done at last. Yeah, so as I've mentioned to you before, someone on the channel is interested in this car. So one of the subscribers is interested in the car. As I say, he's been after one for a little while, and he probably wants this one, so he's going to come down and have a look. Hopefully he'll have it. We haven't even talked about price actually, funnily enough, but yeah, so that's it, it's done. Okay, so I nearly forgot about this. So the earth had actually already gone bad, because when I went out in it today, I realised that it hadn't come on. So that's not a good connection at all. So I've got the ignition on at the minute. So what I'm hoping is the black wire, which is the third one, which is actually the middle one, is going to be the earth. So we'll stick that in there and we'll see. Yeah. I don't know, I say that, it's coming on as a permanent. No, that's right. Yeah, so that is, so we know that is a proper earth now, so obviously it made sense it being black, so we'll actually use that now. I don't know why I never used that previously. So I'm just going to turn the ignition off, and then we'll cut the wire, join it using the little solder joints, and then that'll be much more permanent then, and I'm going to clean that up as well. What I've also just realised is this was done before the days that I was using the soldering, so it's got those electrical connections, so I'm going to redo that first as well, because yeah, that's obviously not the best way of doing it, is it? So we'll set that up, we'll put that in as well, so it's done properly. Right, we got that in, so that's it. So that's the live. Much better. We will put some tape around that as well, and then we've got to cut the earth. Oh, that's hot, strangely enough. So we'll cut that. Thought I'd cut the wrong one for a second. Strip the wire back. Much more permanent connection. Strip the wire back on that one. Oh, that's still really hot. And then we want, where's our earth wire on there? There. So that wire will go onto that one. We have to use the bigger red ones on this, sorry, the blue ones on this, because with the red ones you can't get the insulation in. But they're fine, it works fine. So I'll shove those in there. Shove that in there. Make sure they overlap. I know they're meant to be twisted together, aren't they? But it's a bit difficult when you're working in a sort of close proximity. Right, that should work now, so I'm going to put it back on and hopefully, let's move the heat gun out of the way, hopefully that should do the trick. Yep, that works fine. It's only beeping because the tripod's in the way, I think. We'll just move the tripod out of the way. Yep, that's fine. That's good. This thing's on the floor, that's what it is. It's picking up the extension lead on the floor. So, yeah, that's all working now. So I wish I'd done that before now. So it's all nicely joined. Just put some electrical tape around that and then we put it all back together. Right, so we'll put some of this fabric tape around it. Actually, let's rip a piece off. Wrap that all around. Like so, on that one. And then we'll do the same on that one. Yeah, I'm glad I changed the other one as well. So that chocolate block thing was put on there. Well, it was 3 years ago, wasn't it? That was before I was using the shrink things, solder joints. But there you go. That's all nicely done now. Perfect. Just going to test it one more time before I put the light back together, just to make sure. Yep. That's it. Let's close that before they fall off. Right, let's put the light back on. Actually, we'll clean that first, then we'll put the light back on. Right, let's give this a little squirt under it. Thought I'd cleaned this before. Clearly not. Maybe it was the other side I cleaned. But I will take the other side out and have a look. If it's not clean, I'll give it a clean. Trust me, I'll do it. I won't do it on camera, but I will do it. I like to clean these apertures. It's probably once in a blue moon they ever get cleaned, if ever, in most cars. Right, we'll just feed those wires through a little bit so we don't need those sticking out quite so much. Plug the light back in. Like so. Oops. Push the light back on. Do the screws up. Bolts, screws. Oh, and then of course we haven't got that silly wire anymore. Yeah, we won't be doing that again. So, for all of those that berated me, some in a nice way, some in a not so nice way, but for all those of you who berated me for that earth, as you can see, I do take notice of what you say. It's not necessarily because I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just I don't actually think about it at the time. I think I do the same when I watch some other people's videos. I think, oh, I wouldn't have done that like that, but there you go. That's it. Right, that's all done. Let me just finally one more check, just to make sure the reversing light comes on as well. Yep, that's it. Perfect. Right, that's that. Let me just show you something else quickly, take you off of here. As I mentioned to you, for those of you who have made comments about that, and I told you about the bucket. Here's the bucket. The bucket of tears. And the bucket is empty. Just some dried up tears. So hopefully there won't be any more tears from you. Sorry, couldn't resist that. That's actually my wheel cleaning bucket, but I just wrote tears on the side of it. Never mind, anyway, that's it. So I will be slotting this bit of video in just before the end of today's video, because I was putting the video together yesterday and realised I'd forgotten to do that reversing. So it's done now. So let's get back into yesterday's video and we'll sort of finish off, and that'll be the end of it. Tomorrow. Take some pickies, because I always like to keep photographs, so whether I advertise it or not, I always like to have pictures of them before, during and after, which I've got of all of my cars. And yeah, that's it. So as always, hope you've enjoyed this project, albeit a relatively short one, not without its problems as usual. There's always something, isn't there? So yeah, as always, thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, hit the button there, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you next week. So take care, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.